Tiered activities is a differentiation strategy. It allows teachers to meet the needs of all students while using varying levels of tasks. It's a concept that can be infused into a lot of different things, into homework assignments, small groups, or even learning centers. It can even be as simple as using different prompts for different groups. One great resource that I've really enjoyed is Hecox's Making Differentiation a Habit book. She has some three-tiered task planning and sheets and criteria. Hecox suggests teachers divide by readiness, level of challenge or complexity, degree of structure, degree of abstraction, level of support or learning preference, and then she comes up with 3 pathways for some or most. I think that it's easiest, in my opinion, to do this by level of challenge or complexity, or by readiness, or by reading level. Those are sort of the ways that I've done it the most. So like you could have everybody's reading about Brown versus Board of Education, but you're grouping kids according to what are their reading levels, and so they're answering questions, but they've got different readings that they're doing. Or you could give 3 different court cases, but the court case reading documents are written at different levels for the different levels of readers that you have, and then everybody's reporting back at the end in a jigsaw, and nobody knows that Group A was reading something that was at the college level and Group C was reading something that was a grade level below. That's something that I think is the easiest to do. Or you can give students the opportunity to be reading the same document, like that. I've done this with the Federalist Papers, but then students are reading questions that are at different sort of levels on Bloom's taxonomy, because they have a different score on a pre-assessment that sort of indicates that they're more ready for different levels of challenge at tackling such a complex reading. The criteria that Diane Hecox talks about are especially important. She says that the tiering needs to address the learning differences in the classroom, and or needs to relate to the key content, process, or skills that you're using, and all the activities that you're giving students have to be equally engaging or interesting. One group cannot be doing an art project and then the other group is like doing a really complicated 20-page reading. Like the kids will rebel. The activities in the tiered classroom have to have different purposes, and it can't just be simply more work. And the activities that you're having kids do have to require similar amounts of time in order to get them accomplished. If one group is done in 5 minutes and another group takes 45 minutes, eventually the group that needs 45 minutes is just going to stop producing. And you need to offer related experiences and allow students to learn from each other. So even if students are doing different things, that reporting back piece means that everybody gets the opportunity to learn about all of the court cases or to think higher on Bloom's taxonomy. So it's not that you're limiting kids from being able to learn, you're just setting them up to be more successful and to be challenged at a better level where they come to you at. One example of how I've done this type of tiering was in my public opinion unit I did for AP US Government. Students would start off and do a quiz on the chapter on public opinion. Students who got an 8 or above were put in groups for that week, and they read about focus groups, which is not covered in depthly in the chapter at all. And then they designed and conducted their own focus group. And the students who were in this group, who got an 8 or below in the quiz, actually were the members of the focus group. So they still learned about focus groups. They still learned about something that wasn't covered in the reading, but they were instead spending most of their time dealing with polls, which is the $25 million focus of the chapter, and it deepened their ability to sort of be successful in what is the key content. But these students had already mastered learning about polls. And so the students who got 8 or below or were absent, they did a reading about polling and how political scientists conduct them. They then designed and conducted their own poll and then went and polled their students and reported back to the focus group about what what was their data saying about what was the student public opinion on X political issue or Y political issue. But it really gave them the opportunity to both be learning, but be learning different things and producing different things because they were at different levels of already understanding the text. Another example would be from computer programming. These examples are from Rebecca Young. She teaches at Irondale High School, and I have 3 examples here of what she has used. And this is a quote from her. She said, "I've been working this year on having very clear expectation for my computer labs to earn an A or a B. The only grades entered in the grade book are an A, B, or an I, an incomplete. An incomplete simply means they're not done yet, and the only hard deadline for labs is the end of the semester. I enter grades when I feel everyone has had a reasonable chance to complete the lab. If a student chooses to check off the lab at the B level, they are not limited to that. They may choose to revisit that lab and at a later time take it at the A level. What I'm most pleased about is probably more around learning targets. By making it very clear what I expect for an A, I'm being presented with much better end products. Also, when students are getting behind, they'll just check off a lab at a B level, and then later when they're caught up, they could circle back and they could go back and then improve that lab. So a B equals I met all of the basic requirements for proficiency. And an A means I went beyond the basic requirements for proficiency. Most of these labs she'd used in previous years, and she had and she had one grade either done successfully or not successfully. When a lab from the past was relatively easy, what she did is she added an extra level for the A level for this year. If the lab was difficult for students, she added a B level so that students could have a lower level that they could just check off. She says, so I would say that if a student completed every lab at the B level, they would still have enough practice to do well on the unit assessment. In this course, I get a wide range of students, from students who've completed math through advanced algebra to students who've already completed AP Calc 2. Some students are self-taught in coding. That might be Java, it might be another language, and some students have never done any coding. So the differentiated grading on the labs really helps with meeting different levels of students. Students also work together to help each other with the labs. The lab time is highly differentiated, and the skill level students enter the class with does not really determine what level of lab they will complete. Some are just more driven, some are more intellectually curious, some find it easier than others, but my goal is that at the end everyone can find success. And so Rebecca shared this experience with me, which I thought was really interesting. And then we have examples here from like Huron's formula, where, you know, to get an A, that her program, the program that the student designs needs to do all the things that a B program does, but also has these additional features. And then she explains how the assignment's going to go. And what I like about that is it gives everybody an opportunity for being able to actually learn something. You know, even the students who are coming to her with computer skills are being pushed farther, but also the students who don't come to her with computer skills are still getting to learn too. And I think that that is hard to do in a classroom as a teacher. If you notice, Rebecca has taught this class before, same with how I had done AP US Government before. So it is easier to do this type of tiered activities if it is not your first time teaching a class, because then you have an understanding of where you get these divides in the curriculum, where some people are ready for a more accelerated path and other people are ready for a less accelerated path.